Hello, 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 and good evening, good morning, good afternoon to everyone watching tonight's session of the Guba Diaspora Network GDN SEAT. So, my name is Jennifer Jankofa. I am the head of diaspora engagement for the Guba Diaspora Network. For those of you that do not know, we have a membership community of diasporans from all over the globe. We have a number in Ghana, we have a number in various continents around the world. And what we do as an organization is we help people go through the processes, trying to help them to get things done in Ghana, whether it be connecting with Africa, whether it be wanting to do business and invest in Africa, or whether it be completely transitioning to the African continent or returning to the African continent. Okay, we are here to help facilitate and support your needs in that process. So, once again, good evening, good morning, or good afternoon, depending on where you are reaching out to us from. So, tonight in our session, we have two lovely members. Great, they're quite excited to join today's session. They're both interesting individuals in their own right, and these are the things that really, give me joy and really help me with my role. When you meet two lovely people like these, both very different in their own right, and both have a story to share. They're both going to share about their journeys of connecting to or re-engaging with Africa. They're going to share the triumphs, the tribulations, the pitfall, the ditches, but they're also going to share some of the key elements of how they've been able to go about doing things. Hi, Honorin. Lovely watching you. Okay, excellent, from London. Hi, Vida. Oh, bless you. Thank you very much for joining. It's going to be a great session tonight. So in a short while, I'm going to call on our first guest. But do tell us where you are calling from or where you are joining from. It's always nice. I mean, we do have lots of people on different parts of the world, and as part of this job, it kind of gives me the opportunity to really find out where people are located, what they're doing, some of the questions and queries that people have about wanting to do things in Ghana, or not just Ghana, but Africa as a whole. Because sometimes, I mean, I could tell my own story, living in UK for a number of years, then deciding to move to Ghana. Was it a big decision? Yes and no. I first lived and worked in Ghana over 20 years ago. And even back then, when I finished working, I worked in Ghana for about a year. I went back. I was like, you know what? Ghana. Yeah, there's more to Ghana. There's more I can do here. It kind of felt like home. For me, my background, my heritage, my family, we are Ghanaian, living in UK. But coming home to Ghana for that year-long period for me was a completely different experience to how it is, when you come on holiday, when, you just come for pure enjoyment. Pure enjoyment. Those of you that know, you make sure you go everywhere. You make sure you eat out, all the best places, you go and enjoy. But then living and working in Ghana is a very different experience. So even after that 1 year, living and working in Ghana, I was like, you know what? It's not bad. It's not bad. I think I can handle this. I think I can manage this. So yeah, 20 years ago, I always thought, okay, I'll come back to Ghana. I'll come back to Ghana. And life takes over, procrastination, sitting on the fence, as they call it, all of that and above and beyond. And then I think COVID, I think the realities of life, the staying at home, the time to think, the pause. I call it the pause because, it gave probably most of us, despite all that was going on, it gave most of us a time to hopefully reflect and think about some of the next steps, and also think about what's really important. And I believe my motto at that time was either now or never. You know, certain things we put off, certain things we say we're going to do. We're going to do, oh, next time, oh, later. Or there's always a reason. I don't have money. I need to sort out this. I've still got that to do. But you know what? To be honest, it's never going to be a perfect time where everything is sorted for you to then take a step back and say, okay, now I'm ready. Okay. Ready can come in different stages. Okay. Things don't always have to be hunky dory, as they call it, but you can also take certain steps in the midst, and it's all part of the journey. So today's session, we are going to hear people talk about their journeys of engaging in Ghana. Oh, well done. Okay. Hi, William. Mr. Dr. William Simmons. Lovely to have you join us. Hi, Kelvin. Hey, Salon Titi. Welcome. Maya. Oh, bless. Watching from the USA, Albany, New York. Maya. Oh, I have to tell you, Maya is such a lovely lady. I've only recently met her, but she's already blown my mind. And thank you, Maya, for joining as well. Okay, great. So, without further ado, I keep using that term, but without further ado, I'm going to invite our first guest onto the panel. So, this young gentleman, he every time I see him, he brings a smile to my face. He's one of these warm characters. Always got positive things to say, and he's got a wealth of experience, a wealth of knowledge, and a wealth of ideas, and he's very, very supportive. So without further ado, I'm gonna bring on Mr. Ken Jira. Hi, Ken.
Hello. Hi,
Oh,
Jennifer. Hi, everybody. So
hi.
who did you say was Salo Titi? I've lived in Sierra Leone when I was a kid.
Hey, Salon. Howdy, buddy.
Ah, that will be fine.
The body did are close. Oh,
Yeah,
classic. I've been to
yeah.
Sierra Leone twice. It's lovely.
Yeah, my
Okay,
dad was.
Ken.
Go
Oh,
ahead.
oh, wow. Lovely to have you, but we can't see your screen for whatever reason. The
Oh,
screen is
really? I
blank.
can see you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. We can hear
Yeah, I
you.
can see. Mm-hmm.
Can anyone else see Ken? Or is it just me that's looking at a blank screen for now?
They didn't need to remove from the
And
screen.
unable to see Ken?
And I have another image of myself in a small corner to show that I am online. And yeah, watching
Okay,
from London. Okay.
okay, I'm gonna remove you for now and then I'll bring you back in and see if that works. Okay, I'm gonna
I'm
remove
back.
myself. I'm gonna remove myself off the screen. Okay, let me just try this. Let's try and get Ken back.
Nanette was saying she couldn't see me. Yeah.
Okay. Second time lucky. Let's try this now. No. Oh,
Is that
yes.
okay now?
Yes, we got you
Okay, I can
back.
see you clearly. Can you see me?
Excellent. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. It's great to have you on board, and it's great to have you being able to share your story finally. I won't go back into the details, but we're grateful that you've been able to come on this session for tonight, for this July edition. It's great. So, if you could start off by, I guess, introducing yourself and what brought you to Ghana.
Okay, my name is Ken Juera. I'm a sculptor. And what brought me back to Ghana? Well, I was in Ghana already. I finished the University of Ghana college, and after that, I decided to become an artist and a sculptor. So I was doing that for about 10 years, and I thought, I need to spread my wings and go to the US And that's what I did. So I left Ghana to the US, and it was never coming back home in a sense, because I just going to find out how US was going to be and how the opportunity was. I ended up staying there 30 years, coming a couple of times back to Ghana for visits. So it was part of that journey. I went to the US for an opportunity, and then I came to continue in Ghana. So my mindset might be a little different, but I think it's all about mindset. So let me be clear right from the beginning that there are issues going on, but I choose to say it's positive. The reason I choose to say that is because I'm an artist, a sculptor. Now, if you're a doctor or an engineer, you need to find something that's relevant to your thought pattern. In other words, have you heard of an artist looking at his canvas, or a sculptor looking at a piece of wood and sitting on the fence about doing it? Then you're not a sculptor. Then you're not a painter. You know what I'm saying? I can't say whether or not you're not an engineer, because I'm not an engineer to say that sort of thing. But I'm a sculptor, and I have a piece of wood in front of me, and I need to progress towards the end solution. Is there a problem in front of me? Sure, the wood is a problem. The grains don't go this way. The grains don't go that way. So many things. But right from the outset, my attitude is I need to complete this job, or this is my objective. One thing I found helped me a lot is that people could say there are problems, okay, but a mathematical problem, to the mathematician, is a mathematical equation. Have you heard anybody complaining and saying, oh, I've got this equation going on and I can't solve it? No, but it's the same thing, but the mindset is different. And on the left side of the equation is 2 plus 2 is equal to what? We all know 2 plus 2 is equal to 4. It might be a complex one, but it's just a progression to the end result, if that is your mindset. So that's how I look at it. But I don't want to belittle anybody thinking that there aren't issues. Of course there are, but I just change the word and change your understanding of it. You sort of progress towards it. So I'm in the US and looking for opportunities. I'm a sculptor. I ended up not doing too much sculpture actually in the US. This opportunity that I'm looking for, because I got married, had children. I said, sculpture, you don't always sell stuff. And I do basically fine art, high end, a little bit high end, museum quality. So I got to get myself a job, right? So I got myself a job to take care of whatever was in front of me. So you might have to do that when you come back to Ghana too. Not necessarily take care of, get a job, but you need something that's going to back up, and so you progress towards the goal. So that's the way I look at it. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I love the fact that you talk about, I guess, in terms of your journey and when you left Ghana to go to the US, it wasn't quite intentional. It's like you kind of found yourself in US for a longer period of time. But also, you talk about how you being an artist and the mindset behind that. You look at it, you don't sit and wait for it or things to be perfect. You get on with it. You pick yourself up, you get on with it. You try and sculpt, you try and do what you do as you think about it. And that might be slightly different to some professions out there. So can you tell us a bit about how things were for you when you first sort of left Ghana and went to the US? How did you find things there? What made you stay for so long? Before then returning back to Ghana, and what was the thought process behind that too?
Okay, so I'm in Ghana and I'm carving stuff, and everybody says, "Oh, the carvings are nice." I had a couple of exhibitions and stuff like that. For me, I was progressing, and so I was always making good sales, and I always have cash in my pocket and stuff like that. But I don't compare myself. My dad told me you can't compare. Ghana cannot compare itself to the United States, because Ghana is one state in America comparing itself to the whole of America. And people always say, oh, in America is this and America is that. So they pick the best state in America. Let's say New York. Oh, they got beautiful buildings in New York, and they compare it to Ghana. Why don't they compare Ghana to some of the other states? They don't have tall buildings at all. Some of them are rural areas. So you're always at a disadvantage. So that's what I learned from my dad. That and he was an ambassador, so he travels around, and you cannot compare yourself to a whole nation, one country like Ghana, compared to I've forgotten how many states there are in the U.S. So many different states, you know. So that's one thing, and I had the itch to look for something better. So I left Ghana, not because I thought Ghana was bad, but because my dream and my whole outlook was much bigger than Ghana. So I had to go to the US. And even though the US wasn't that good for me, I'm happy that I went because I took care of that age. I don't have that problem wanting to go back to the US anymore because I took care of it. If I didn't take care of it at that relatively younger age, I'll still be around this age complaining, like a lot of people complaining, they still want to go to America and they're not coming back to Ghana, the whole mindset. I said, no, I'm not going back to the US for anything because I tried it and this is what I did. Okay, so why did I stay so long? Well, one thing started progressing. And when I got there, I just realized that my mindset is Ghana mindset. Now, if you want to have an exhibition in California, my mindset is I got to go all the way to Kenya. I hope this is making sense. I have to go all the way to Kenya because I'm still an African, right? I'm still a Ghanaian. I have to go all the way to Kenya or to South Africa to go and have an exhibition. And it could be that kept me on the fence in the US, and I couldn't just move forward because how am I going to fly all the way to South Africa to have an exhibition, all the way to Kenya? Whereas people living in America, they don't say they're going all the way to New York like they're going across to another country. No, they just go, you know, and say, oh, New York is full fashion. They just got jump and go. California is for Hollywood. They just jump up and go. But I'm an African boy, and I got to the US, and I was like, oh man, you know, this is not going to be easy. So I also had, maybe I had a bad attitude. Okay, whatever. So I'm there, and I have a daughter about to be born. I need to get real with the situation. Okay, so funnily enough, she's going to do her PhD and she's going to graduate next year. And I came back to Ghana last year. So it's almost like you have to wait for the cycle to go through and finish, kind of like taking care of her, you know, in that sense. Because I have the attitude, or I would just get up and go. Because when I grew up, I went to school in England, actually, at the very young age of 7 years old. It wasn't a good idea, but, you know, that's what my dad thought was best. But from, you know, psychological children kind of concept, maybe not such a good idea. But that's how I grew up. So I treat my children like that. If I don't see you for a year, or if I don't see my friends for a year, it's great, you know. But that's not how to build relationships, to be honest. You see, so I stayed there 30 years because I let my children grow up. The youngest one grows up, and I took care of that. Then I came back to Ghana. I'm still using the word coming back to Ghana, but as I'm progressing towards the end of the US, I realized you got to get rid of what keeps you in the US. I know people are making money. Well, what keeps you? Your bills. You need to get rid of those bills. I got this car note going on. I got insurance on the car note. You know, it's like, oh, it's nothing. It's only $350 a month for the car note. How about the insurance? So I'm paying $500 a month for insurance and everything. I pay $1,000 plus on my apartment. You know what I'm saying? I finished with the mortgage and I got rid of the house as the children started leaving, and we started deciding that Ghana was it. So it's not something you just jump and do like 1 year. I think it's about 4 or 5 year thought process. You know what I'm saying? You don't just jump up and do it. Yeah, it's about 4 or 5 years. You have to do that. Yeah.
I think that's the key point that you've just mentioned. For you, it was you had a lot of things tying you to the US after you had spent. How many years was it that you had spent in the US?
Let's say about 30, 31 years. 30 years, let's say. 31.
Yeah, 30, 31 years, quite a long time in the US. It's not just a get up and go. Okay. So, but I'm sure, just like, you know, what I experienced earlier, not everything was set before you moved. You still had a few ties to sort out, but nevertheless you were able to move. Let me just ask you about your transition to Ghana. your after returning to Ghana after 30 years. And also, you know, just listening to your profile, you schooled in London, you've lived in the US, you've lived in Sierra Leone, you understand? You've kind of had a wealth of experience of different cultures, different people, different countries, and I'm sure it's all kind of built up in knowledge and experiences that you've got inside you. So how did you find the whole moving back to Ghana? What would you say were some of the main challenges, and how you overcame them? And I guess what would you say to others?
Well, you got to believe in God, you know, however you want to describe it. And there's no argument about it. So let's not get into that, whether it exists or doesn't exist. You just got to have something extra. So let me just give you my example. So I'm praying about coming back to Ghana way before I do come back to Ghana. You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
So you're praying about that, and then things will start falling into place. Maybe not in 1 year. And from a religious standpoint, you know, you got to sow a seed, and it takes time for it to grow.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. I don't see any pictures at the moment. I hope you can still hear me though.
Oh yeah, we can still hear you. Oh.
Things will start falling into place based upon what you want to do. So the sitting on the fence is a problem in the sense that you got to get off the fence, because on the fence you're either here or you're there. You got to be there or here. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't really matter. You could be in the US and somebody will call you from Ghana and say, "Hey, we need an investor," which is fine. But to sit on the fence by definition means you're not sure. You got to go somewhere.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I'm deciding I'm going to Ghana. Okay. Now, my mom, I come to Ghana last year. Okay. And my mom passes away last year. Okay.
Oh.
Almost like she was waiting for me to come before she left, you know, and you can have your own definitions about what that means or what that doesn't mean. But once you decide this is what you want to do, let the things start playing out for you, okay? And don't rush it. So I land back in Ghana. Can you imagine this? The same house that I left when I left to the US is waiting for me. That's where my mom was living, okay? She was living somewhere else, Laboni, and then moved back. I was living. So she is in the house that I'm living. So I go to the US for an opportunity, and whether I didn't grab fully the opportunity, but I came back to Ghana in the same spot that I left. And it's not a negative, it's a beautiful thing to me that, wow, I come back and I can continue from where I left off. Is that interesting, right? Yeah. And then you need family. Now, if you don't have a real family, you need to build some sort of family, like Uber and stuff like that. Some sort of friendship.
The network.
Let them tell you what's going on. Network. Let them tell you that this is how it is and this is how it's that. And then you can come in with your attitude and say, well, I don't think that's right. You know what I'm saying? I don't think that's right. Then you start changing for the better. But you can't come in and then come and add to their problems. No, there are enough problems in the US, but we don't talk about it. Everybody's got, everybody's on time, and you go to work and stuff like that. Why don't you just chill in Ghana? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, why all this stuff? Anyway, I come back. I have family. This house is a family house. Yeah, well, technically, owned by my cousins. Okay. You know, and they want somebody to look after the house while they're in England. So I don't pay rent. All I need to do is make sure the house is in good order and pay the whatever taxes for the house. You know, the taxes for the house is not going to be right. So you see how the thing is playing out for me. You know what I'm saying? I'm saving. Yeah, it's playing out for you because you've already made that decision. Get off that fence. Now, getting off the fence doesn't mean you're going to run forward. No. Getting off the fence means make some sort of decision mentally that I want to be on this side and not that side, right? But you're not going to jump the gun and start building a house. Well, they'll teach you a thing about selling land 2 or 3 times to 2 different people. You see,
Yeah.
you can call that a problem, call it an equation. If it's 2 plus 2, well, 3 plus 1 also makes 4. You have that
Mm-hmm.
mindset. The problem is the left side of the equation. It's not the
Mm-hmm.
answer. So
Mm-hmm.
you have to have that attitude. So I'm here. So I cut down on my expenses, and I use and I don't go to restaurants and stuff. I don't own a car in Ghana. I cut everything to the barest minimum. I don't want 2 years from now. I coulda, shoulda, woulda. That's what we learned in
Yeah.
America. You
Yeah.
don't want to hear all your life that
Mm-hmm.
I tried and it didn't work. And so what if I hadn't used Uber so much, or if
Mm-hmm.
I hadn't spent 5,000 a month on rent? No, no, no. Right from the get go, you need to figure out some sort of family. We could start something here, and then the next generation be like, well, if you come with Uber, it might not be that official. You can have 6 months rent free somewhere. We won't call it rent for it to look like it's a freebie. People don't like freebies. It could be like a
Mm-hmm.
hostel or something. So you can
Yeah.
wing it for a year in Ghana. Why? You know what I'm saying?
But
Little
you get
things like that you need to get in
yeah.
place. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's what I think anyway. Yeah. So that's how it's
I
working
think
for me.
yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
an interesting concept because I think that's all part of the transition from coming to Ghana as a holiday and coming to Ghana for a longer term period. You understand? When you come to Ghana as holiday, I wouldn't say money isn't an issue. Money is an issue, but you tend to look at the value of the city and the value of the currency of where you've come from and think, okay, you know what, it's not so bad. I can. So what you tend to do if you're not careful, and this is something that happens over and over and again, and people are always complaining that in Ghana, you or I can talk about myself, I can actually spend more money in Ghana than I do in the UK if I'm not careful. Because of that mindset, oh, it's only, it's less than £10. So you kind of think that, oh, let me
Yeah.
just get it, let me just get it. But £500 gone like that. And you're like,
Yeah.
ah. So
And
it's
you're
good.
getting paid £10 an hour. It's nothing, you know?
It is, and that's the thing. The whole
Yeah.
transition is a mindset as well. It's not just about doing it, because you raised an interesting point. You don't want to be a year down the line and said, "Oh, I should have, could have, would have." Type thing. You want to kind of plan as much as you can, but be
Yes.
conscious of
Yeah.
your spending, even if, and this is what I would say, even if those of you that come to Ghana with a big lump sum of money, that money can go just like, you know, yes, and it doesn't even mean that you have to be eating out at some of the top restaurants or expensive restaurants. It's just everyday things, everyday things.
Mhm.
One of the things that I can say, having been in UK, we have the NHS, the health service. So when we go to the doctors, when we get referred for a blood test, a scan or whatever it is, I wouldn't say we don't feel it, but you don't see the money that is being spent to get those processes done. Okay, whereas in Ghana, the moment you want to go and visit a clinic, you got to have the money on the table ready. The moment you want to go and have a blood test, the moment you want to buy medicines or stuff from the pharmacy, it's all money that you see coming out. So sometimes you have to take a step back and be like, oh my gosh, it's the realities of the systems that we have in Ghana. Not saying the UK money's not spent in that regards, but it comes out of our taxes. It comes out of things that we are used to paying, so we don't physically see. Well, no, we do because it comes out of our salary, but we don't always see where, the money that comes out and that we spend. Ken, your screen has gone. Okay, at this point, I think I'm going to take Ken off the screen for the moment. Okay, so guys, welcome to those of you that have just joined. Welcome to those of you that are now logging on from the different locations. We've just heard from Mr. Ken Jira, who is one of our members, and he's sharing his story about how he returned to Ghana after leaving Ghana. I believe fairly slightly older than some, and lived in the US for 30 years plus, I believe. And he was talking about his transition, his thought process, his mindset, his view on that process itself, and what kind of things he felt people need to put in place. I mean, one thing he did highlight is to have family, okay? And in quotes, having family, what does that mean? It doesn't mean biological, it doesn't mean blood, it doesn't mean, hereditary. It means a family. I would say more like a community. Um, and, it's a process. Some people may have blood family. Some people may have friends. Some people may have organizations such as ours that you can reach out to, that you can engage to help guide you along the way. And that is what he means by family. Having a network of people, having a community that you, of course, gradually build on, but then people that you can also connect with, engage with, to kind of show you or support you through that process. So, okay, so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to reach out to our next panelist, who is a lady from Cali, California, in the USA, and she's a real estate developer. So Nanette Atuahini is going to join us, and she's going to talk about her journey, what it's been like, what was her thought process, why did she decide to kind of transition and do stuff in Ghana and do stuff in the US, and what's kept her going, really. So, hi, Nanette.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you too?
All is well. I'm so excited to be here. And
Good.
before we go on, I really want this to be interactive. I want everybody who's on the line to think about where you are now, where you're looking to go. If it's that you want to go to Ghana, if it's that you want to go to any part of Africa, think about where you are, where you want to go, and what's the gap. And please ask those questions because we all have experience here that a lot of people may or may not have, and we want to make sure we share that experience with you. So please ask the
Yeah.
questions, fill the gap with those
Fire
questions.
away.
Fire away, fire.
You've given a mandate. You've given everyone a mandate. Fire away. But anyway,
Yes.
Nanette, thank you so much. It's always lovely engaging with you and connecting with you again. So here we are. I mean, you are where you are, and I'm about to let you explain your share where you are. And you've connected with Ghana in lots of different ways, and lots of different initiatives. But if you could just introduce yourself, who are you, Annette? Who is Annette Twahini?
Okay, so Nana Etuahene, I'm the daughter of two Ghanaian parents from Kumasi. I'm the first generation here in America. And so, like, I was born in New York, moved to California when I was 2 years old. And so, I didn't have the same experience as Mr. Ken. My experience was I had never been to Ghana. I didn't know too much about Ghana except what my parents shared with me. And as I was growing up, I wanted to be an American because I was embarrassed to have parents with their thick accents speaking to my friends and my friends saying, I can't understand what he's saying or what she's saying. And, I was embarrassed to go out with akoma, like the threaded hair, not realizing that it wasn't part of the American culture. And then going to school and having people with my threaded hair call me Medusa. I was an experiment for my parents. I was the first child that they raised in America. So I had all that experience. So younger, I was doing everything to not be Ghanaian. Because back then it wasn't popular. There was no melting pot. There was no diversity. There was none of that. It was just all of you have to figure out how to become American. So that's how I grew up until I hit high school. And high school was my turning point because I was part of the Black Student Union. And going back a little bit, my parents, they left Ghana during Nkrumah's time. Nkrumah sent a lot of students abroad with the goal of having them develop skill, develop resources to bring back to Ghana. And so my father and my mother were in London. They met in London. My father was becoming a lawyer. My mother became a nurse. And then they eventually got the opportunity to go to the US. So they were very conservative. Like in hindsight, I can see they were very conservative Ghanaians. You know, they wanted their kids to, they really had a lot of that English culture in them, behind them. So when I hit high school, that's when the rubber met the road with how I thought about life. I joined the Black Student Union in high school. And during my time in the 90s, I was in high school. That's when X-Clan, Public Enemy, KRS-One, they were all talking about African pride and being African. So finally, there was a place for me because I was never African American enough. I was never Ghanaian enough. I just had this place. But during that time in my life was when I started discovering, started asking my parents questions. Before then, I used to ask questions, used to try and learn Chi here and there. But for the most part, I was aiming to be American. So in high school, I had a great counselor who had us reading like Black revolutionary books. In high school, we were reading Francis Cress Welsing. You know, we were surrounded with Dr. Ben. We were surrounded with John Henrik Clark. And thank God for that advisor, because that really changed my life. So that's what got me started on the journey to learning more about Ghana, to learning more about where I came from, because I really realized at that point that I didn't know a lot. In the meantime, while I was in college, unfortunately, my mother passed. I was 19 years old, hadn't been to Ghana before. And so when she passed, she wanted her body to be buried in Ghana. So that's when I had to come to Ghana. So 1994, I found an exchange program that I went on through Temple University. Dr. Abari, he was running a program where he took students to Ghana. So all of us met from all over the nation at Temple University, and we traveled to Ghana in 1994. That was a life-changing experience, because what I realized, my family's all from Ghana. You know, we have a short existence abroad. I can say now we have less than 60 years abroad. But before then, my family was in Ghana before Ghana was even called Ghana. So when I go back, I went with a different mindset. I went with an American, I would say like a Black revolutionary mindset. So I understood conditioning. I understood programming. I understood Carter G. Woodson, miseducation of the Negro. I just had a whole different view of Ghana than the normal Ghanaian would because of my education. So when I first went to Ghana through that exchange program, everything opened up for me. I loved it. That's the first time I was able to visit all my family as a teenager, hang out with my cousins, learn a lot about Ghana that a lot of Ghanaians didn't know, because we were actually getting educated at Legon about everything, culture, beliefs, history of all different cultures. So even when I came back, my older sister, who was born in Ghana, I know more than them just because of that program. So after that, I knew, you know, Ghana was a place that I could be. And I had made plans to move back eventually from that point, from the point where I went to Ghana. But at the same time, I noticed a lot of programming that I knew was holding Ghana back, even as a 19-year-old. I had two experiences that I can remember. One of them was, this is back before internet, before good phones. This was landlines that, you know, you'd have to go to a message center to make a call to somebody. So I was a student during that time. And I remember we were getting ready to go to Cape Coast from Accra, and we were waiting for hours because, you know, Ghana time. They were supposed to come at 1 o'clock. They probably didn't come till 4 p.m. So we're all standing around as students waiting for the driver. And then I'll never forget, one of my friends, in America, we call her Latina. These days, Latinx. But in Ghana, everyone who's not Black is white. So everybody thought she was white. So as we're all standing there as students, a middle-aged Ghanaian man pulls up a chair only to this woman, saying, "Oh, you shouldn't be standing that long." And immediately I let the middle-aged man know. I say, "Listen, is she the only one sitting there standing around, or are we all standing around?" And I'll never forget the look on his face. He looked like he woke up out of a daze of conditioning. And at that point, I realized that the conditioning was really deep, like so deep that a lot of people don't even realize they're conditioned. So that was a big experience for me. because of my education, because of the people I studied, because of them talking about how we're conditioned as Black people all over the world. And I've traveled all over the world. And so I've seen all over the world this conditioning. So, you know, at that point, I wanted to come to Ghana. I wanted to make an impact. You know, you have these big dreams as a young adult. And then I got married, had kids. So once I had kids, I wanted them to be connected, but it was like once every few years. So it wasn't like a deep, you know, experience. So then I'm a real estate investor. I'm a real estate broker. And I had sold some property, made a lot of money. And so I said, okay, well, let me take some time to go to Ghana. This was 2007, to see what opportunities there are, to see what I could work on, to see what I could do. And at that time, that's when, you know, internet cafes were coming up, et cetera. And I thought that I was going to do internet or technological business. So was there for a while. And then came back, got into, you know, life again, and everything kind of, you know, just life started happening in the States. And you know, a friend of mine, she says this, anytime we go back to the States from Ghana, it's like those tentacles. Like the longer you stay in the States, there's those tentacles that keep coming stronger and stronger. If you don't break them and go back to Ghana once in a while, it's kind of like it gets put to the back of your mind. So 2007 was the last time I went. And then from there, I started hearing on the news about the Chinese takeover of Africa. This was like 2016 or whatever. So a friend of mine, she's Nigerian like me. She was born in the States to Nigerian parents. So we were talking about all the opportunities in Africa. And it hit me in that moment as I was speaking to her that they're busy talking about Chinese takeover and I'm sitting here in the United States. Shame on me. I have all kinds of background in Ghana. And these Chinese people have no background in Ghana, yet they take the risk. They go, nothing's smooth for them. As much as we may say it is, it's not. They don't even have family there. And they go, shame on me. That's what I said. So from that point on, I started looking at why has it been so hard for me to go to Ghana regularly? Then I started looking at the conditioning of my parents. And one thing I noticed about the Ghanaians in California, anytime they would get together, they would all talk and lament about how Ghana's backwards and how things aren't going well. And that would be their conversation. So I realized I was conditioned. So going to Ghana was like going to Mecca. That one time you go to Mecca, like it was a big deal. Like you take your whole life with you, you know, that's how they made it. So what I did was I reconditioned myself. I said, Nanette, make Ghana like you're going from California to New York. Stop making it like it's that one magnificent trip to Mecca. You know, that's how my parents trained me. So once I did that, I started making plans. I'm a real estate broker. I have my own business. I started arranging for people to take over for me while I was going. I said, I'm going to go 3 months out of the year. So I separated 6 weeks at a time. So 6 weeks twice a year from 2018 to 2021, I would go to Ghana for 3 months out of the year, 6 weeks at a time. And when I first started, I knew I didn't want to be around family. And it's because when you're around family, you really don't get to see Ghana because you're almost sheltered from all kinds of opportunity and all of the things happening. Like a lot of Ghanaians, I'm secretary of Ghana Association of Southern California. So when I tell Ghanaians about what's going on in Ghana now, they don't even believe it. All the execs except me were born in Ghana and they don't believe what's happening in Ghana. So I tell them, first of all, I tell them when you go to Ghana, stop showing off, stop going to the high toting hotels and, you know, showing off that you can afford this because you won't last long in Ghana doing that. So, you know, I let them know the way I live in Ghana and the way I'm able to last in Ghana is I live just above the local level. So I buy, you know, I rent an apartment for 2 months for $1,090. I eat, you know, the local foods. I take the local transportation. For me, being in Ghana, I'm not spending a lot of money until my income in Ghana suffices to spend money in Ghana. So when I'm in Ghana, you would think like I'm from there. Like when people see me, it's like, oh, her again. You know, once in a while they say when I pass around the market, oh yeah, Jamaica ni, oh yeah, Nigeria ni. They think I'm from Nigeria. They think I'm from Jamaica. But you know, what I did was I made sure every time I go to Ghana, I make sure that I live below my means. And it's the same thing in the States. I'm the same way in the States too, because I do have two homes, right? And I do have 4 children. So my children are young adults. So once I started coming to Ghana, what I would do the very first time I came with the mission of figuring out my business goals is I would go on Eventbrite and I would go on meetup.com and I would find every organization having something going on while I was there. And I would go to every event to build my network, to see how things are happening, to see who the professionals are in Accra, in Cape Coast, in all these places. So that's what I did. I went on Eventbrite, went on meetup.com, and I would go to all these. So I was always in motion, going to different events, meeting people, learning about business opportunities, learning about investing opportunities, learning about real estate, because real estate is not the same in Ghana as it is in California. So
That's
I
very
made,
important.
and this is very important.
Mm-hmm.
Before you ask me any questions, Jennifer, this is very important. Like I said, my family's from Ghana, so I have one uncle in particular. He made a lot of money in the last cycle as a real estate broker and investor, and so he said, "Oh, now I have money. I'll go to Ghana. I'll figure out what I can do there, etc." And I'll never forget hundreds of thousands of dollars taken to Ghana, and 9 months later, he was back in the States. And had to start from scratch. So what I learned from that was, and this is, listen closely if you haven't listened to anything else.
Listen, guys.
When you go to Ghana, be humble. As much as you may say you're humble, a lot of you aren't humble. A lot of you go with dollars, you go with euros, you go with whatever. And because that money is stronger than the cedi, there's this built-in arrogance, right? And so you really don't humble yourself to learn the system. And what I always tell people is if you go with the mindset that you go with from America, from the UK, that I have this goal, I'm setting this goal, I have this deadline, I'm going to accomplish this by the deadline, Ghanaians will even take the filling out of your teeth because you're rushing. You never rush in Ghana. Like, let me say that again. You never rush in Ghana. You never rush in Ghana. Take your time. Figure out the lay of the land. I don't care if you were born in Ghana. Figure out, I don't care if you have networks. Figure out the lay of the land. Act like you don't know anything about Ghana. Take your time. Learn it from scratch. That's what I was doing from 2018 to 2020. I would just go, meet people, ask a lot of questions, sit down with people who are doing really well, ask them questions, really pick their brains, take them to lunch, and they would just give me information. Like right now, I have a lawyer. We meet once a month in Cape Coast. We just talk about everything, what's going on, what's happened since the last time we spoke. And I had to be very purposeful about who I surrounded myself with in Ghana because there's so many negative people talking about what's wrong in Ghana. And I don't think like that. I don't think like that in the States. So I'm the kind of person, listen, if there's a problem, how are we going to solve it? I don't want to hear your nonsense about wrong.
It's growth mindset, isn't it? It's growth mindset because you can get bogged down in the negativity and the ills and the problems without actually addressing what you can do to try and overcome or lift yourself out of those scenarios. Of course, not saying everything is hunky-dory and smooth sailing, but I don't know if it's human nature. I don't know if it's sometimes the environment that we're in, but we, unfortunately, and you see it on social media and TV and all of that, people thrive on negativity. And that becomes a conversation line that you engage in, whether it be gossip or somebody's downfall. It's like, it's all up in the air. Everybody's talking. But then what about the growth mindset? What are we doing to come out of that?
What about the work? Because when you're sitting there, like, I always say, in Ghana, you can sit, drink your palm wine and talk about all the problems because you don't have to do anything, right? It's easy to talk because you don't have to do anything, right? And the other thing, I read this in the book E-Myth. I read a lot. So there's a book E-Myth called The Entrepreneurial Myth. And that's another thing. I'm an entrepreneur. So a lot of people go to Ghana. They're not entrepreneurs in the States. They're not entrepreneurs in the UK. And they think they're going to start business in Ghana. But they don't have the basic foundation of what it takes to be an entrepreneur, period. So that's another piece of advice I give. If you're looking to start business in Ghana, where you are now, figure out what it takes to start business there, because you need to learn the entrepreneur mindset, like that growth minded
Mindset.
mindset. That's
Yeah.
what it takes to be an entrepreneur. So if you go to Ghana and you don't have that growth oriented mindset to overcome any challenge that faces you, even when you fall on your face, you just get back up and you don't dramatize it and give up so easily and say, Ghana, that's the problem, because you didn't do your work, because you didn't humble yourself and take your time and get to know the background, the layout, the foundation of whatever business you're getting into. I don't blame it on Ghana. I know I have to do the work to learn everything. And another friend of mine, he told me this, and this opened my world in Ghana. He said, Nanette, poverty erodes integrity. So if you've been cheated by a Ghanaian, poverty erodes integrity. So if you're clear about that, you do your due diligence so aggressively. Before you give any of your money out, you make sure you do your due diligence, because otherwise, when something happens, you can only blame you. So I've had small instances where somebody told me they could do something, but they really couldn't because they wanted my money. But I learned from that. So, like, for instance, I'm building now, and I had a team of people who were referred to me. So I thought, they were they were doing the work, they were doing well, and found out later when I asked them to do my drawings that they didn't know what they were doing, because I'm in real estate. So I know what a drawing looks like. So, a couple $100, I let it go, left them alone, and then step back to reorganize my team. So I'm still in that process, making sure I reorganize, because I had someone else refer me to a builder when I told them what was happening. And what I learned was, when somebody refers someone to you, don't take it like you do abroad. A lot of times when we know someone, we like them, they refer us, we immediately go with them, we let our guard down, whatever. What I learned is, when you refer to someone, I don't care if it's another professional, another builder, and they refer you to someone, you act like it's a cold meeting, like you've never gotten a referral. You ask all the questions. One thing that happened to me, a borehole guy referred me to someone when he found out I didn't have a competent team. And so I interviewed him from the beginning, and I asked him, not how many projects do you have in the area I'm in, how many have you finished?
Yes.
And he told me he hadn't finished any. So I told him, I can't work with you. I need someone with more experience. He said, you just let me start. And I said,
no.
I'll just let you start with your own money, not my money. It won't be my money. If you want to start, it'll be with your money. So you just have to be very careful about who you work with, because that's the most important thing, is who are you surrounding yourself with, and who's on your team. And so I'm building a great team of people who really know what they're doing. And I get to know this by the questions I ask.
I think that's great. I mean, you shared quite a bit, and your story it's also an aspect of the whole re-engagement with Ghana that sometimes people don't always talk about, because your background, your heritage, your family are Ghanaian, but you were not as attached to Ghana as much, so you had to kind of relearn or re-engage. And I like the fact that you made it your mission to do that. You understand? You decided that, hold on, the Chinese people are coming and taking over. This is Ghana. This is where I'm from. This is my people. You understand? If they're doing it, I need to also step up and do something. And you made it your mission.
Yes. The same risk they're taking. The same risk they're taking. I have a better chance, actually, than they do. So why am I sitting in America, giving all the research, everything I've learned? Like, I've gained so much knowledge, so much skill, so much resources. Why not share some of that with Ghana? Why not?
Yeah. And what you also highlighted about the fact that you were intentional. So you made sure that you went on to, was it Eventbrite? You went on to Meetup, checked out all the events, checked out whatever's happening, so that you can literally create your own networks. You understand? Rather than
join
Ghana
network, like all of this.
Yeah, joined all the groups. And you also highlighted the fact that, I mean, I think UK, we have the same, I won't say issues, but sometimes the same mindset. We've got Ghanaians that were born, raised, lived in Ghana for many years, but then coming back is a bit of an issue. It's not saying that they do not want to come back, not saying that they don't intend to, maybe later on in life or when they're retired or, whatever, when the kids are growing up. But there's always a bit of hesitation. You understand? Hesitation leaving, in quotes, the so-called comfy cushion that we seemingly, present in UK, US, wherever, Canada, and then go into Ghana, and that seeming like it's a whole challenge, a whole mission, all kinds of things. So you've got a lot of people that I guess they have the right intention. They want to reintegrate into society. They want to come back to Ghana, but there's some trepidation. There's some hold back as to why, or I don't know whether or not it's procrastination or whatever. But there seems to be some reservation at times for people. But what I do find, especially in this line of work, is that I wouldn't say not quite Generation Z, but some of the younger generation are ready to, throw the towel in and just make that move, and people, I guess different generations, but people also see Africa differently as to how it was many years ago. Of course, we know about the year of the return, all of that stuff that's happening around it. But people also see the opportunities, and it's kind of weighing the odds. It's kind of weighing out, are the opportunities that you see in Ghana or Africa more than or enough to kind of make you want to reintegrate again. But at the same time, you also gave, just like Ken did, you also gave some solid advice. Okay, money. As I say, it's sweet when you have your £10 or your $20 and you convert it into cities and you realize, oh, hold on, you understand, I can do this. So the mindset is that, oh yeah, I've got money, I can chill in Ghana, I can do this, I could do that, and before you know it, money done.
Yes. And that's one thing I always say, because I'm in real estate investing. So I've made hundreds of thousands of dollars in real estate. And the first time around, I lost it all. Now I understand the lottery thing, because if you don't have money coming in and you keep taking from that bulk of money that you've gotten, it's going to disappear one day. So the most important thing is cash flow. So even when I'm in Ghana, I'm always focused, how can I keep my cash flowing? So what I did was, I knew I wanted to come to Ghana more than 3 months out of the year. So I started figuring out what jobs or what contracts could I get to allow me to spend the majority of time in Ghana. Because I started 3 months, but my goal was to be 3 months in the States and 9 months in Ghana, because I still have my young adult children here. So, I come back for graduations. Like, that's why I came back this time. My twin boys were graduating from Tuskegee in computer science. So, I come back for those things. So what I always say is just make sure you figure out, okay, how do I keep my cash flowing? So I found a contract that I do along with my real estate brokerage. So I became a catastrophe insurance adjuster. So what that allows me to do, it allows me to work a few months out of the year and to make very good money that allows me to live the rest of the year abroad. It's very rigorous, but 3 months out of the year, I'm able to make the money I need to move the way I want. So I had to figure out, any of you who are in any kind of profession, you can find a way to set your career up so that you're a contractor for the job that you're working for. So like, for instance, if you're an engineer, you work for Lockheed Martin, there's a way you can set up your business so that you can eventually consult for Lockheed Martin. And you can even do it remotely. And a lot of you these days have remote jobs where you can actually do it in Ghana. You just have to figure out how to set it up. Because I have a friend's son who was with me in Ghana, and he was working for Facebook at the time. And he travels everywhere, Colombia, Mexico. He was with me in Ghana for a month. So there are all those opportunities, but that's what I had to figure out. Because another thing is, until you figure out your cash flow abroad, in Ghana, you have to start figuring out what's going to make your cash flow. That's the whole thing, cash flow. We even played the game Cash Flow by Robert Kiyosaki in Ghana because I realized cash flow is the key. As long as your cash is flowing wherever it is, you can live anywhere in the world. So once you figure that out, you're going to figure out how to live anywhere. Like I travel everywhere. I was in Colombia last year. I'm going to South Africa, Rwanda. I'm doing a project in Rwanda around building networks. I'll be going to Namibia as well. So my goal is to really build a movement. It's called On Our Watch. My company is called On Our Watch Global. And the whole mission of On Our Watch Global is to mobilize high-minded people. When I say high-minded, I mean solution-oriented, growth-oriented people to solve problems in the community sustainably, to solve problems in Ghana sustainably, to solve problems in Nigeria sustainably. So I was in Nigeria last year. We have a group that I'm part of called Returnees. These are Africans from all over the diaspora, you know, who have built networks all over. So I was in Nigeria at an event there. So my whole goal, the mission behind On Our Watch Global is mindset, to transform the mindset of Africans, period. Because what I figured out, the reason why they named us third world is not because of resources, because we have plenty of resources. It's mindset. Yeah. I know that whatever goal I set, I'm going to achieve it by hook or crook. I don't care how long it takes. I'm not going to make anyone the problem for me not accomplishing my goal. And Ken made a good point about believing in God. I'm not religious. I'm very spiritual. And you know, I joke with people in Ghana all the time. When they start talking about the government, I joke with them and I say, your God is too small. Get out of here. You know, because anytime you talk about an obstacle, you're not talking, your God is too small, because
you're holding yourself back.
Yes. And that has nothing to do with who you really are. So, you know, my whole goal in Ghana, and every person I speak to, I touch them this way, is to let them know who they really are. And I have to tell this story, Jennifer. It's going to take a little time, but I have to tell this story.
Go ahead.
I watched the movie Hidden Figures. How many of you have watched the movie Hidden Figures? It's a movie about African American women who helped NASA with space flight. You know, path the flight to space. I walked out of that movie incensed. Like, I was upset, because what hit me when I was walking out of the theater, I was like, wow. Can you imagine these women so brilliant mathematicians? And then I thought about it. I said, wow, can you imagine their grandmothers or great grandmothers with that same brilliance were enslaved? So what did they do with that brilliance? So that got me on a whole trail of thinking about the African experience across the diaspora. So then as I was thinking, I was like, wow, so imagine the system that had to be put in place in the US to make a brilliant people like that think they were slaves. Like a system had to, a system that terrorized people had to be put in place, because it's natural for you to be brilliant. So in order for you to be a slave, you have to put something in place to take that away from you, to make you think that you're something else. Okay, so that's on the US side, right? So I was like, wow. So there was a system put in place to make these brilliant people think they were slaves. So now my parents are from Ghana, so I'm thinking about colonialism. I said, okay, so how did that affect us on the colonialism side? So I think, I'm like, okay, so when I think of a colony, let's like dumb it down to the lowest denominator. What's a colony? And I'm thinking, okay, let me not just think of a definition. Let me think about nature. When we think about colony, what do we think about? And immediately it came to me, we think about ants, we think about bees in colonies. And then it hit me. This revelation was like, oh my God. So what's the purpose of the worker bee? Is to serve the queen. And then in that moment, another story came to me like, wow. So everything in place in Ghana and any colonized country is to serve whatever power is there, right? For us, it was to serve the queen at the time, with our resources, with our judicial system, with our education. So Wesley Girls, Ghana National, all those schools were built as feeder schools for Great Britain, not for Ghana. So the whole purpose when you graduate from Wesley Girls is to go abroad, period. And so our whole purpose as a colony is to serve your England, Germany, France, whatever, right? So then it hit me. We've been conditioned to always serve somebody else. And we've never been conditioned to know who we are, to solve our own problems. We've never been conditioned to know who we are, to know we can solve our own problems. So we go to the World Bank, they're going to solve our problems. We go to, you know, someone outside of ourselves, that person's going to solve our problems. We go to the government's going to solve it. And we know the government's not going to solve our problems, but we still expect the government to solve our
Expect the
problems.
government to solve.
So once I understood all of this, then I realized, Nanette, your job is to know who you are, to know how brilliant you are, to know that whatever challenge comes your way, that you have the solution to it, to know that you have what it takes to do everything that you need to do, no matter how long it takes. Once I got that, my whole life changed, because my goals, I wasn't afraid of my goals anymore. I don't care how big they were, because once I knew the system that was put in place, I knew the way to break down that system is to know who I am. Like, once I know who I am, once I know how brilliant I am, once I know I can accomplish any goal I have in mind, all that other stuff breaks down. Racism, colonialism, all these things break down, because all of a sudden you don't think someone else's sugar is sweeter. You don't think someone else's ice is colder. You know you
And you
have
don't
what it
look at
takes.
the blocks that try and
Yes,
hold you back.
and you don't let the blocks, you know,
Mm.
overwhelm you so easily. So once I understood that, I understood my job in Ghana is to share that with people. So I'm always sharing that with people. I'm always challenging them to not look at problems so much. I don't care if it's the Uber driver. By the time I get out the car with that Uber driver, he's wishing he could pay me. So that's what we're doing. We've developed so many resources. We've developed so much education. Why not use it to support Ghana, to support all the countries in Africa to build? Because where we are now is not where we're supposed to be. We're better.
Not at all. Not at all. Thank you so much. I mean, I think in that space of time when you've spoken, you've kind of shared so much of not only your vision, your attitudes, but also looking at the possibilities. I mean, I think one of the issues that people grapple with, I know through my line of work and some of the complaints that people have, is the attitudes that they're faced with as well. And that could be attitude towards getting work done, attitudes towards governments, attitudes towards issues in a country and the ills in a country. So everything is all about bringing it down, bringing it down. We're at the bottom of the ditch, and we can't get out, and that becomes a cycle of conversation. I'm going to bring in Ken. So just guys, for those of you that are watching either on YouTube or whatever else you're watching, please do throw in your questions. There are loads of questions. I mean, both Annette and did I call you Annette? Sorry. Both Annette and Ken, have a wealth of experience to share and a wealth of knowledge. So this will definitely be an opportunity to get in there, ask some questions, how they did it. Where did that mindset come from? I'm in this scenario. What advice would you give me? But as people are thinking of questions and engagement, I'm going to ask you both a few sort of questions to kind of sum up what the things are that you've said, and also advice to other people that are also watching. So very quickly, so Ken, in your his camera's gone. Oh, is it mine? I think the next person as well. Oh gosh.
Oh no, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think Ken's gone for a little while. Let me just put that game off for now. So okay, so in the US you are a real estate developer, but you've kind of mastered. You said something that's quite unique. You've mastered the art of being able to I don't know if you want to call it partner or consult within your role, that has enabled you to be able to spend time out of the country and do stuff in Ghana. Can you expand a bit more on that? Because you highlighted it, saying that other people can do it in their jobs, whatever role it is that they do. If you could just expand on that, because I think that helps kind of bridge, when people are trying to move and that whole scenario there.
First of all, I've been a business owner for a while, so I encourage people to start business wherever you are, in the States, in the UK, wherever you are, because you don't realize how becoming an entrepreneur builds strength in you. Like it really builds your mindset, because when you have to overcome something, like if you don't work, you don't eat, that builds some kind of strength in you. So I encourage everyone to start business, because what happens is you're able to transfer that skill to Ghana. Don't think because you are very good at your profession that you know business. That's why I recommend that book, E-Myth. It's called The Entrepreneurial Myth. A lot of people, and what he talks about in this book is powerful. He says a lot of people think because they're very good in their profession that they'll be good in business. And so what happens is a manager might tell you something and piss you off, and you're like, man, he's stupid. I could do better than him. I'm going to start my own business. Then you start your own business. You're like, what the hell did I do? Right? So just because you know your business, your career well, doesn't mean you know your business well. Because remember, business is not just the technical part. I always say business is an art and a science. So the art is whatever your technical piece is: real estate, engineering, law, right? That's the art. That's, the creative part, right? But the science is the business. How do you operate your business successfully and smoothly? How do you market yourself well enough to find customers? How do you make sure that your business is funded the way it needs to be funded, and that it continues to be funded the way it needs to be funded? That's the science. So until you get those two together, it's always going to be wahala. so what I
Hello,
say is
hello.
figure out what you do well. And I don't care if you start a business on the side, figure it out, because once you start that business, it's going to grow you. A lot of people feel like they're not meant for business because we've been taught in school not to make mistakes. And I used to hear Robert Kiyosaki say this in the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, and I didn't understand it. But now I understand it. Our conditioning, like I study conditioning a lot. So our conditioning in school was that we have to get straight A's, right? And if we don't get straight A's, we're dumb, right? Which is a lie. But that's what we were taught. Because you didn't get straight A's doesn't mean you're dumb. That's why you have a lot of people who got C's in school. They're brilliant. You know why? Because they weren't afraid to make mistakes. When you become that perfect student, a lot of times you're afraid to make mistakes, so you don't jump and you don't do what it takes because you're afraid to make mistakes. And so we have to look at the programming that school took us through. And I had to undo that because I was a good student. So I had to undo the being afraid to make mistakes. Like I remember I used to watch flyers of the successful real estate brokers in my office when I was younger, and be like, oh my God, look at all those grammatical errors in his flyer. But he was making more money than me. So who cares about the grammatical errors? But me being that student, I was like, oh my God, I would never put out something like that. And that's why I wasn't making as much money, because I was afraid to make mistakes. So you have to put yourself out there. You have to be willing to fall flat on your face. Do you hear me? Flat on your face, like flat, like embarrassingly flat on your face. And then just get back up. Have the strength to get back up and say, I'm still in the net. Just because I fell on my face doesn't mean anything,
Exactly.
So that hunger, that drive, that's why I say start your own business to figure it out. And if you're not one to start your own business, partner with somebody. Partner with somebody, because if you can partner with somebody, you may be the analytical person that has to have A, B, C, D, Z before you jump off the cliff. Partner with somebody that will jump off the cliff and figure it out mid-air before they land flat. Like, that person out there, that person who likes to take risks.
Somebody. Yeah.
Like me, I know I need that person who is very analytical, because me, I jump. I'll have the parachute on my back. I'll jump. I don't even know how the parachute works, but I'll jump. So I know I need the person who's going to say, hold on, Annette. We need plan A, plan B, plan Z. Okay, I'll listen to it for a little while, then I'll jump. So we need that balance. So find out that balance for you. You don't have to do it by yourself. And when Kim talked about believing in God, when you know you have a power bigger than you behind you, I can travel anywhere in this world. And because I know that, I'm not afraid.
Good. Please repeat that. I think that's a heavy line alone.
I'm not like a Bible thumper. I'm not any of that. I just know practically how spirituality has helped me in my life to achieve all the things I've done in my life, to have the success with my children, my family, my health. I know what's helped me spiritually. So that's what's helped me, is knowing that there's a power bigger than me, that when I say I want something and I'm clear and I see it with all my 5 senses before it even happens, I feel like God's like, okay, she's for real. Like if something happens and a challenge happens and I still hold my vision, I have this, that's my translation. When I hold my vision through hell or high water, I know God's saying, okay, she's for real. Let me help her out. She's not giving up easily. Let me help her out. Let me back her up in this, because she really believes, like she truly believes in what she would love to have happen.
No, that's great. Oh, no, that's brilliant. Ken, we've got you back again now. Great. Just before, so we're going to start
Yeah, I'm
rounding
sorry,
up.
I'm off and on.
Oh,
Yeah.
don't worry, that's fine. So, guys, do put your questions in the chat. If there's anything that you want further information on, anything that you want to reach out to Nanette or Ken as we start rounding up this session. Ken, and actually for both of you, Nanette and Ken. So we've talked about your challenges. We've talked about, your mindsets of how your thinking and your attitudes have kind of helped you engage with Ghana again. What would you say are, let's kind of narrow it down to 3, okay? What would you say, and this is a question to both of you, what are 3 pieces of solid golden nuggets, takeaway homework advice that you would give to people that want to transition to Ghana? Okay. So, of course, there are different people that want to set up business and invest in Ghana and possibly run a business from abroad in Ghana. But what are 3 pieces or 3 golden nuggets that you would give to people about wanting to not only transition, but engage and do stuff in Ghana? What advice would you give? So either Ken or Nanette, either of you, feel free to go.
We'll start, just because my main thing is make sure you're keeping your cash flowing no matter what. Always focus on that. On the financial side, focus on that. The second thing is be patient. I love Ghana because Ghana has made me such a patient person. Like in the States, I'm very direct, I need things to happen, and then you go to Ghana and they laugh at you. They laugh at you. You'll be pissed off because things aren't going your way. They'll laugh at you. It's like, why are you taking this so seriously, right? So I've learned in Ghana to have a lot of patience and not to get angry so easily. Like that's been a real test of my emotional maturity, is to be in Ghana and to be patient through it all. Like I know what to do and I don't get mad. Like I don't get mad these days, because I know if I get mad, everything I'm looking to get accomplished won't get accomplished. Those are the 3 things. 1, have patience. When I go to Ghana, I forget sometimes. Like I have this to do, the to-do list we have. I have this thing of 10 things to do. Then I go to Ghana and I may get half of that thing that I would get 10 things done in the US. I may get half of one thing done. And then I remind myself, Nanette, you're not in the US. Calm down. Calm down. Calm down. If it takes longer, so what? You'll still get there. And then number 2 is don't get mad so easily. Like we go with this arrogant mindset when we go from the US and the UK. Anything that doesn't go our way, we think there's customer service in Ghana. Customer service, is like so funny to me. Like, when I go to Ghana and I'm in a restaurant and they mess up my order, they'll tell you, okay, well, it's already made, so what are we going to do? They won't take it back because they don't want to get in trouble with their boss. And I understand that. You understand? So there's certain things that we have to know about Ghana. And I understand this, so I don't get mad. You have to understand Ghana. Don't go with your arrogant mindset thinking you're better than people. That's the problem with most Ghanaians, because I told you I'm part of the Ghana Association. So when I always talk to them straight, you guys like to go and show off and buy expensive things to let people know you're doing well. I don't care about any of that. That's the American me. I don't need to show anything. All I need to do is learn the system so I can get my goals accomplished. Period.
Excellent. So, oh gosh, I'm right, Karen.
Wait, sorry. Number 3 is your cash flow. Please figure out how you're going to keep your cash flowing no matter what. And there's so many ways. A lot of you, like I said, you're conditioned to think your job is your only cash flow. I know my cash flow can come from a million different places. So I'm always looking for opportunities to keep my cash flowing while I'm in Ghana, while I'm in the US. I always focus on cash flow, because if you don't focus on cash flow, you think you have a lot of money. I've seen so much money in real estate. It's not a lot if you don't have cash flow. If you don't have cash flow, you don't have money, period. I don't care if you have $1 million in the bank. If you don't have cash flowing, you don't have money. Just remember that.
Okay, excellent. So I've noted it down for those of you that weren't able to get it. So number one, have patience, 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 patience. And patience is definitely a virtue. It's important to be able to understand the terrain that you are in. Ghana is a different Ghana's a different ball game, but it's also different attitudes towards what you may not be used to. So one thing that you have to adapt to is people, the cultural attitude, traditions, and just the way of life. And it's not always a negative. I remember having a conversation with a lady, Maya, I think Maya Hayes, yesterday, about the whole understanding culture and understanding people's behaviors. And sometimes we perceive it as a negative thing. It's not negative, it's just the way people do things. It's just different. You know, it's different to maybe how you've been used to it. So, again, there's no point in getting angry. You just have to try and adjust, understand, and work with it to try and get whatever it is that you need to get done. So again, that ties into the second point. Don't get mad so easily. You will literally run yourself back to wherever it is that you left, because the frustrations can be real. And you might be sitting there, you know, pulling out your hair, but everyone else is looking at you like, what's wrong with this girl? What's wrong with this guy? You understand? Because it's nothing. But yet you're expecting something, you want it now, now, now. Forget. What did I say? Forget. I look back at scenarios and I laugh. And also, yes, I mean, you made a good point. Keep your cash flowing. So whatever it is that you need to do, organize with your job, set up a business, do some consultancy, whatever it may be, keep your cash flowing and live within your means in Ghana. Okay.
And wait, one more quick thing that I wanted to
Okay,
say
good.
about having patience. If you don't have a good team and you find out you don't have a good team, in that respect, be ready to cut people quickly. Like, do not hold on to people that you know are not competent. Because if you do that, what happens is you waste a lot of, like me, I cut people so fast because I know I'm looking for competence. And so I keep going until I find competence. I don't care how long it takes me. I keep going until I find competence. Please don't hold on to people that are not competent because you feel sorry for them. Like I said, a lot of you come with this arrogant mindset and you overcompensate. So you hang out with people who are not competent. Don't do it. Because what's going to happen is if you hold a high standard, the whole of Ghana has to raise. But if we're all feeling sorry for people, we're going to have all kinds of incompetent people around us. So me, when I'm finding a team to work with me, they can't be incompetent. I'll even empower them. Like even my housekeeper, I empower her. If she's late one time, I say, I'm giving you one chance. And then I'll let her know, listen, you have daughters to provide for. You have to do better. And one thing along the lines of patience, and not holding on to people too long. An elder shared this with me, which was very powerful. He said, a lot of us go to Ghana and we exploit people. And the way we exploit them is we have them serve us and that's it. And then we go on our merry way. He said the real way to help the country is to empower every person you're in contact with. So for instance, my housekeeper, when she started working with me, she was late. I said, I'm giving you one chance. And I cut her off. Actually, I cut her off. She begged me to come back. And from that time on, she was competent. She did a great job. And then from there, I asked her, what are you doing with your business? How many customers do you have? How do you market yourself? I showed her how to market herself. I showed her how to take her job seriously. Now she's making 10 times more than she used to make. Every person you touch in Ghana, make sure you're empowering them with the resources and the knowledge you have, because it helps the whole country. You don't realize your little contribution makes a big deal when all of us are working together.
Good. I think that's really important, and it's about not just holding on to what you have, but sharing in order to for the betterment of the nation it's as a whole. You made a key point about not holding on to people because you feel sorry for them, and I think that tends to be a big thing in Ghana. We want to help, we want to give back. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's good to help, good to give back, but okay, we also need to make sure that, if you want to call it maintaining standards or trying to help develop people to reach those standards and also support themselves. Excellent. Thank you very much for that. Ken, great. So just as I said to Nanette, let's say three golden nuggets, three things, three takeaways that you would share with the listeners on your experience so far in connecting and transitioning and engaging with Ghana. What would you advise people?
You got to listen to the people who are actually living here, who are, just listen to them. That's one thing. First thing is to listen. Second thing is show me, as we used to say in the States, show me the money. Show me the money. So in Ghana, because show me the product. You say you're going to do this, okay, show it to me. Maybe he doesn't know, fine. There's no condemnation here. Show it to me. Okay. So the first thing is always listen to people who are living here, and they might give you a negative listening that there are too many potholes, but at least they've told you there are too many potholes, and then your thought is that, okay, fine. So my attitude is you look for the biggest pothole and you go for it. You know what I'm saying? At least you know where it is, then you go around it. So listen. Second point is show me the money, or show me whatever it is that you understand. And the third one too is like, I just want to share something in the sense that Ghana is huge. That's my thought process. Ghana can be huge. Ghana is bigger than Korea and all these China people we're talking about. You need to go and find a talented person who can do the job and show him, listen, do this, do that. And they're going to do a certain portion of the job that you need. China is organized in the sense that they have some way where some sort of capital can filter down to the ground and get some artisan somewhere who's doing this. And the artisan will teach somebody who can mechanize the concept. See? So I think that's what they're doing in China and stuff like that. You need somebody who actually is really good at something and let him do a portion of some process that you have already thought about. Because being in the States, you should understand some processes. But he does part one, part two, part three, whatever it is, and you pick that part for him and let him do that. Don't think he's supposed to do everything. No, just let him do that portion. The next point is that just the mindset. You got to have a good mindset. And my mindset is that Ghana is huge, is bigger than Korea and bigger than China, period. So the only question you're going to ask me is that how? You see how we've gotten over that issue about people can't do this? No, you have to say from the get-go, Ghana's big. Ghana's going to be like Korea. Why should it even be like Korea? Ghana's going to be like Ghana, China. Okay, so let me give you a quick example. Now, I'm living in Ghana, and my brother tells me something. Okay, he's banking. He does a savings bank somewhere else, and I do one in my local area across the street because I feel I'm in the quote unquote. It's not the village. It's like Labadi. You know what I'm saying? La. So it's relatively smaller. So I bank at the local bank. I don't want to give any names right now until I see the money. So I'm banking there, and they're like, okay, let's say I had 100 CDs in the account, and they give me 1%. So I get 100 CDs for every 100,000 that I have there, and I'm happy. I'm like, oh my goodness, I got cash flow. So don't complain about the amount of cash flow. Go find some cash flow. You're not doing anything to get it, and you're getting it. Okay, so now I need to up it. Now he shows me at his bank, and I talked to the lady working there. Now, if I start this account, this premium savings account with 10,000 CDs minimum, okay, that cuts out something, of course. They're going to give me a certain percentage. Now, I know in the US, when I'm in my savings account, they want to give me 1%, 2%. Is that right? Okay. Now in Ghana, I need to read it up a bit so that the math becomes easier. Let's say I had 500,000 CDs in my account in Ghana. Okay, that's about 40,000 or whatever. Okay. Now I'm not suggesting go and bring it from the US, just this idea. Let's just say you made some 500,000 CDs. Now they're going to offer me 2.7%. Okay, to keep this 500,000 CDs in a savings account. I hope you're listening.
Yeah.
So with 500,000 CDs, I'm going to get 2.7%. That's about 12,000 something CDs. Or let's make it 1,000,000 CDs. Make it easy. If you have 1,000,000 CDs in this particular savings account, I'm going to get 27,000 CDs every month. I said, well, already. And so she's asking me, when am I bringing the money? I said, no, I'm going to wait till the end of the month to see that money. Okay? If you give 2.7% per month, in 10 months, how much have I got? 27%. I've got more than 30%. Tell me where in the world you're going to get 30% for the money that you have.
That's the thing.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh, Ken, we've lost you. I've lost you.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, so just while Ken is, I put his 3 golden nuggets on the screen. So I'm going to move him for now. So this is Ken's 3 golden takeaway nuggets. I think I've got all of them. If I haven't, please put some in the chat. Listen to people living in Ghana, okay? When we say that, or when Ken says that, I believe he's talking a lot more about not just the negativity. You know, the negativity will just kind of give you people's views on what's happening and what's out there, but it also give you facts. There are potholes in lots of roads around Ghana. But at the same time, you are moving or you are engaging with people that have possibly lived or, you know, in environments that you may not have lived in for a very long time. You might have been born and raised in Ghana, but you've left Ghana, or environments or amongst people that you have never lived with before. So you do need to listen to what's on the ground, what people are saying, what people are doing, how they go about doing it. Show me the money, number 2, or show me the thing. So in Ghana, I sometimes laugh and I chuckle at this. It is what it is. People never say no. People don't say no.
Sorry about that.
Can you do this? Yes. Oh, you know, how does this work? Oh, I'll show you. I can do it. Sorry, let people show you. I think that's what Ken's trying to say. Hi, Ken, you're back. So let people show you what they can do, not just say it.
Yes.
Because you go to hairdresser, you go to a seamstress. I mean, we've all had those stories where we've got a design, we show it. Yes, I can do it. But what you come back with, the before and after. But so, you know, when Ken talks about show me,
even if they say it'll be done in 1 week, 3 months later, it's still not done.
I love it.
For no reason, because
again, don't be mad, just understand. And then also, I mean, it all kind of boils down to mindset. That's your third thing that you mentioned, Ken. Mindset, you know, I mean, now, you know, those of us on here, we're laughing at these things. Maybe when we first came, we were like, what's going on? But you know what? Gradual process, you just have to understand. You know, don't get angry, just find a way around it and, you know, learn from that scenario. Oh, bless you. Thank you guys so much. We are going to round up because
I wanted to close out because
okay, yes,
another thing that's very important in questions. Like another thing in Ghana, I know we're not trained to ask questions. Like it's very invasive, and you know, I had a brother-in-law. I was at his party one time, and I was talking to this white gentleman who was much older than me, and I was asking him all kinds of questions about his life. And my cousin came and interrupted the conversation and apologized on my behalf. And the older white gentleman was like, "Oh no, we're having a great conversation." So I realized culturally, we don't ask questions to get the information we need. And we're conditioned to kind of like only stay with our clique, the people we know, our peer group, to get all the information we need. But the information's everywhere. So you have to ask everywhere. So be comfortable with asking questions. And I learned that as a business person too. You have to ask questions to get what information you need to get. Yeah. And then I wanted to talk about, go ahead.
No, I was going to say that. And, asking questions is not rude. I guess it's the way it's asked, but it's also about getting clarity, finding the right information. Because when people do not ask questions, you assume. I mean, my background is in teaching. I dealt with young people all the time, of course, in the UK and so forth, that ask questions. But I always want them to ask questions so that I understand that they are listening and that they understand what I've shared with them. Other than that, what you do, you get a group of people that just walk away and you assume that they know, but then when the thing comes, they don't. So yes, asking questions is not a bad thing. It's just, it's asking for clarity. And I think
it shows that you're thinking critically, and we need that in today's world. We need critical thinkers. We can't do any chew and pour anymore. We can't just be entertained by information anymore. We have to think critically. So when we get information, okay, how did I process that information? What question do I have from the information I was just given? That shows you think critically, and you can because that's what you need as an entrepreneur. You need critical thinking. Chew and pour doesn't work in entrepreneurship.
No, you're right. Entrepreneurship. I think that's quite important. But anyway, thank you, Nanette. Ken, glad that we got you back. It's been a bit of a hit or miss, but we're thankful that you're back. You're on with us. Thank you guys so much. We really appreciate you guys spending time out to share your stories, to share your journeys with others. For those of you that may have joined late or may have been new to the GDN SEAT, so the GDN SEAT is a session that we try and hold every Monday. Occasionally we might have to change the date, especially if there's a holiday or some sort of event happening, but it's held every first Monday of the month. It's for the GDN members, the community initiative that we have under the Goober Diaspora Network. If you are interested in joining or being part of the Goober Diaspora Network, or even if you are a member and would like to be on the GDN SEAT, please do contact us. I'll put the contact details in the chat. If you are interested in joining and you're not part of the Goober Diaspora Network, do also reach out to us. We can give you more information on how to become part of this initiative. What we work with, Oh, hi, Joan. So just seeing some members. So we work with members from all over the world. We help them to try and get things done. There's different levels of memberships. We have organizations, we have corporate bodies, we have individuals. If you need things done in Ghana, if you want guidance, if you want help, we're only a phone call, an email, a meeting away. Just reach out to us. But I will put the details in the chat. So Ken and Nanette, once again, thank you.
And I wanted to share my the work I'm doing, the projects that I'm working on. So on our watch global, the reason why I named it On Our Watch is how are we leaving Ghana? How are we leaving Africa better than we came to it? So anyone who's interested in that movement, what's happening on our watch global, you reach out to me, Nanette Etuahene. You have the spelling of my name there on Instagram. You can also reach out to me because I'll be having events. I have a Connect the Dots networking event every December in Ghana. That will be in Accra, and I'll be having another one in Rwanda in September. So anyone who wants to be part of that movement, just reach out to me on our watch global @gmail.com as well. Those are the two ways you can reach out to me, Instagram or email. And then the second thing, I told you I'm in real estate. So a lot of people from abroad have me manage their projects, have me get their projects working again so they get money in their pockets versus their siblings or family members' pockets and them not getting anything. So I'm able to help a lot of diasporans, Ghanaian diasporans, with their real estate. And then finally, we work on different projects in Ghana. So Panafest is coming up July 23rd to August 2nd. We're working on that. And the goal for Panafest is not only to exhibit the culture, but to have diasporans from all over the world, cover topics that are important to the diaspora, to move forward, to solve problems. So those are the main things I'm working on now. So anyone who wants to get in touch with me about that, let me know. I am a real estate investor as well, so you can touch base with me on that. And I fix and flip properties in California. So that's an experience I have as well. Yes.
Excellent. Can you just share your Instagram handle or on your Watch Global or your email address, was it?
Yes, let me share it.
Okay, so I'm going to put. Okay, guys, I'm just going to share this. And also Ken's details if you'd like to contact him. Ken's screen has just gone. Okay, so on your watch.
Yeah, we're just looking to work with like-minded people. I just sent it to you on the private chat. We're looking to work with like-minded people to really move Ghana forward, to move Africa forward. So anyone who's interested, just stay in touch with me because we're working on so many different projects in Ghana and throughout Africa at this point.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you for that. And I know that Ken has gone. His thing has gone again. I'm going to put Ken's website details in the chat if anyone would want to reach out to Ken again. Okay. Okay, so if anyone reach out to Ken or Nanette, I've put the information in the chat on the screen. We've got Ken's website, moodsandwoods.com, and there you can also find his contact details. If you'd like to reach out to Nanette and find out a bit more about her projects that she's doing, be involved in the whole campaign for On Your Watch Global and listen to various events that she's holding, or hear more about the various events that she's holding, please do reach out to her. In the network, you will also get an email with further information on both of these individuals. Nanette, go ahead.
I also coach people on their goals. So I have some people in the room right now that I've coached in their businesses as well that are attendees. So yeah, so I've coached people on their goals to get them from where they are to where they want to go. So that's another thing I've been really excited about doing.
Good. Thank you. Okay, Ken, I've also put your website on the screen. I'll put it in the chat so people can actually engage with you guys on that. But once again, thank you guys ever so much. As Nanette mentioned, we've got Panafest coming up. We do have a trip for Panafest if you would like to get involved in, if you would like to be part of Panafest, if you would like to know more about Panafest, do reach out to us on info@gubadiasporanetwork.com. We can give you more information on that, on the trip. We've got 2 different tours, so that will be available to you. If you would like to join the network or find out more about the Guba Diaspora Network, or even as a member, if you'd like to come onto the GDN SEAT, do contact us at info@gubadiasporanetwork.com. So guys, thank you ever so much. It's been a fab session. It's been very informative, very inspirational. Okay, and I'm wishing you all the best on your journeys. Okay, it is a journey, so we're not at the end of the journey. There's still more to come, and just continue with the positive vibe, continue with the right attitudes, continue connecting and engaging with the right people, and you know what, Bob's your uncle, as they say. It's all there. But thank you ever so much. And bye, everyone listening in from wherever you are. Take care.